This is NTV.
Now, last week, opposition members of parliament launched a campaign to impeach President Yoweri Museveni in what was seen as a surprise move initiated by the MPs. Described as an uphill task by the proposers themselves, the impeachment motion drew minimal response from the government. The only response coming from the information minister, who described the campaign as laughable and doomed to fail. The campaign, which has already drawn the support of a section of the civil society, is hinged on impeaching the president on grounds of abuse of office, violation of the oath of allegiance, misconduct, failure to address unemployment and public service delivery. Now, just a week into the campaign, and the movers of the motion, that's Odongo Toh and Ken Chamzi, are proposing to blackmail MPs who haven't signed the motion. The opposition members claim they have so far collected over 50 signatures and are confident they will gather the requisite one-third to have the motion tabled in Parliament. Tonight, we examine the chances of the impeachment motion seeing the light of day in Parliament and whether the campaign is futile and doomed, as government said. You're watching On The Spot, and our guest tonight, Chibale MP Frank Tumwebaze from the ruling party, to put the debate in perspective. Good evening and welcome. You're watching On The Sport, viewers. Now, just before we go into the debate, let's open up our poll question, or bring you the poll question for tonight. And tonight, we are not seeking a yes or no answer to our question, but we are seeking your views, and we're asking, what's your view on the campaign by the opposition MPs and civil society to impeach the president? We're asking, what's your view on the campaign by the opposition MPs and civil society to impeach the president? Send us your comments to 8778. I repeat, 8778, and we'll sample some of your comments during tonight's show. Honorable Frank, you're on the spot tonight. Thank you so much for coming. It is almost a week, because this was last week, about Tuesday last week, when your colleagues in Parliament, about how many, 7, 8 of them, did say they were starting a process of impeaching the president. You heard about it. I'm sure you must have been in the corridors of Parliament and heard about it. What was your initial reaction?
Well, one of the movers was Honorable Ken Chamzi. Not the first attempt on his part. I think he had done it before. So that's why many people thought it was the usual game. Of course, the current trend in Parliament, we are moving away from drama. We are moving away from comedy. And I see this spirit on both sides. I am therefore not surprised that this motion has even been ignored by some members of the opposition.
50 signatures, Honorable, is not ignoring the motion.
Is the entire opposition 50 in number?
No.
Count them. That's why my friend Otto has desperately announced and confessed that they intend to blackmail. Mark the word blackmail. If you have a right cause, you don't have to blackmail people to coerce them to support your cause. That's actually criminal.
We will come into that discussion, because I want us to discuss that. He might have a point in saying they will have to blackmail. We will go into that.
That's a good one.
We will go into that debate. But when the MPs stood before the journalists and actually announced their campaign and their move to impeach the president, they were extremely convinced. And themselves, by the way, they do believe this is an uphill task. Well, agreed. Yes. But they seem convinced that they can actually get the one-third, 125 votes into from the MPs and actually have this motion tabled in Parliament.
Well, let them. I wish them well, but they will not end anywhere. Why? Really, it should be a question of facts.
Yes.
It should be a question of logic, not their sentiments. First of all, why from the NRM side, which I belong to, why, for example, Honorable Karoro laughs this off, and rightly so. There is no new ground our colleagues are raising that has merit, that has facts. Because the Constitution, under Article 107, Clause 2B, which talks about the process of impeachment, says setting out the particulars. That's for the people moving the motion. They should set out particulars of the charge for impeachment, supported by the necessary documents on which it is claimed that the conduct of the president be investigated. I have tried to see to have a look at the grounds they are raising. Now, these grounds are not substantiated. They lack merit, and actually they are the usual accusations that our colleagues carry to the population every election, accusing the president, but they come out with no adherence from the population. An example: the president should be impeached because of land giveaways. Let's look at that. And yet, in the same document of motion, they accuse the president of unemployment. Now, logic, let's place logic on that. Take away politics. You accuse the president of giving away land to Bidiko in Karangara, Bidiko, which became an alternative to Mukwano, which is contributing to our tax revenue GP collection, which is employing Ugandans. So you fault the president for having taken that decision to lease that land to those investors. Serious or unserious? So whether I am NRM or opposition, I wouldn't buy your reason of impeachment if it's on land. You accuse the president of supporting or instructing the allocation of the Garden City land, where they were saying it's a family land. Look at the complex down there. Everybody enjoys it. It has contributed to a skyline for the city. If the president was giving away that land to his own company, to his own family, to himself, I would support that impeachment. He was famously accused of the former school here opposite, Shimoni. And I think that's where the media dubbed the term land bonanza. Look at what is coming there. Kingdom Hotel, which has already earned itself and won the franchise of the famous Intercontinental Group of hotels. That's a message to our economy. The tourist confidence is increasing. Because I mean, there are people who don't sleep anywhere apart from the known chain of hotels.
But Frank, you do not fault them for actually bringing up some of the causes.
No, I am one.
Yes.
Land bonanza.
No, that's land bonanza.
So that's one corruption.
What about the recent inflated compensation in market giveaways?
I am going knocking off one by one.
Yes.
Land bonanza collapses.
Okay.
Hilton is up and shining.
Okay.
It is the most beautiful part. So now the president is favoring the allocation of land to people who bring in money, who build those fixed assets to boost the economy, to solve the problem of unemployment. So that collapses, unemployment collapses. Actually, those who oppose his initiatives on policy interventions to cure the unemployment question should be the ones to be impeached or to face a vote of no confidence. Compensation of Basaja Baraba. You get the point. What was the role of the president? In Parliament, models and viewers, accountability committees are all chaired by the opposition. This is a policy we adopted as a parliament. The fact that we are the majority as NRM notwithstanding. We said, let accountability committees that are mandated with scrutinizing the audit reports of Auditor General be headed as chair and vice by the opposition. For example, I was a member of PAC in the last parliament, which was chaired by my friend Honorable Nanda, now the leader of opposition. We handled Chogam. If I may handle Chogam and Basaja Baraba together.
Yes, which they also cite in their motion. Yes.
Let's talk about Chogam.
Yes.
One, what was the role of the president? He projected Uganda's image globally and defeated all the propaganda our colleagues had authored that Uganda shouldn't. Can you imagine running a global campaign to defeat your own country because of local politics? Self-defeating. The president explained this at a forum, I think, in the other country where the event had been.
Malta.
I mean, we are gifted to have a president who convinces audiences internationally. Uganda won. The benefits of Chogam, we are seeing them. Our tourist numbers have grown. Now, the event is organized. After the event, the president, through intelligence and through the media, allegations of huge expenditures came up. It is the president, and people need to know this. See, NRM, we are not good at propagating our actions, and I think that's where our colleagues take advantage. It was the president and not any other who wrote a letter to the Auditor General to initiate a special audit into CHOGM.
Their problem is not him initiating.
Wait for me.
Him initiating
Yes.
the investigation
Yes.
and, of course, the commissions, but
Yes.
implementation of the reports,
Yeah, he's
various
not the only
reports.
player. He's not the only player. They need to know we are also players. The president initiated the investigation into CHOGM. The audit was done. PACA considered it. And as PAC, where I'm privileged to belong to, and I think that's why I accepted to come to your show, because some of these facts, I know them very well. One of the pieces of evidence that helped us to make our report were the letters of the president, where he was faulting his subordinates on flouting procurement procedures. For example, I remember his famous letter where he was responding to the concerns of PPDA, where he was saying that however much we need to beat time and procure quickly, I find merit and logic in the reasoning of Edgar Gaba of the need to follow PPDA regulations to the letter. It were those letters that we used. So that's why we thanked the president for having helped PAC. So, people are in court. Okay?
Do we have to wait, Frank, for court?
What
They
do you
are
want the
saying
president to do?
some of the investigations
Yes,
done
yes.
by PAC, the body you own,
Yes.
and also the Auditor General, and of course, because they were basing their evidence on the Auditor General's report, and now the IGG was actually taking them to court. This
Yes.
was extremely enough for the president to have taken action.
What action?
Action.
You want the president to be a
Ask
prosecutor?
the ministers
Yes.
either to step down, not step aside, step down, resign, and again try and retrieve the monies lost
Some have
during
actually
trouble.
voluntarily
They stepped down, but they
You
stepped
don't-
aside.
you
They did not
don't-
resign from office.
Okay,
They are
okay.
still ministers.
Whatever it takes, interpret it. Whatever you want to do in terms of recovering money, it is through a court process. You've made an allegation of me. I must be tried and found guilty. And then you recover money from me. Pasaja baraba. And that's where misrepresentations are made. That the president made directives. The president, executive power is vested in the president. In the constitution, it's either Article 9 or 99.
Yes.
Yes. His directives are executive orders. They are legal, they are constitutional. If they were not, someone would have gone to court to seek interpretation on that. Now, what do you want a president to do? I am the head of a country. Ugandans, businessmen have petitioned me that, look, we went through a competitive process. We won market tenders. And because market tenders were being given by KCC, a separate authority, of course under the structure of government, but independent in a way. We've signed contracts. But because of the social unrest and resistance from the so many Ugandans, we can't access this. Now, the president in his own wisdom says, but since when did we start tendering out people's markets to be run by an individual? He says, since he has failed to access the markets, it's not the president taking himself to those problems. It's people, as a result of the problems and mistakes of others, coming to him. Says, please compensate this fellow, assess his damage levels, assess his investment and costs incurred, compensate him, but let the markets revert to the population. He did what they call opportunity cost. To him, the cost, and rightly so, of allowing an individual to take over the people's markets was, the risk there was much bigger than compensating him out and then allowing the people to take over their markets, as indeed it was the case. You don't accuse the president of following to be the one to give the value. You don't accuse the president of knowing what the legal people have assessed. That's why me, a member of parliament, with the power to oversee those institutions, that's why we quiz them in committees of parliament. So really, let's not, under the motivation of political rivalry, as my friend Odongoto and Ken Chams are well known for, come up to create a case that does not exist. That's why people are laughing it off.
Okay, Honorable, we will take a very short break, but when we come back, I will take you on not just the giveaway of the market, which you've comfortably answered, but also the inflated compensation for those markets. But before we take this break, I want to take you back to our poll question for tonight, and we are not seeking a yes or no answer, but your comments. And so we are asking, what's your view on the campaign by opposition MPs and civil society to impeach the president. Do send us your comments to 8778. I repeat, 8778, and we'll bring you or sample some of your comments during the show. Don't go away.